The spotlight made her skin shine like bronze under studio lights, but Lagos had not always seen her this way. Years earlier, before microphones and hotel ballrooms, Amara was just that local girl from the face meets in Ajegunle. Her English was rough around the edges, her skirts were always a little too faded, and her dreams were always a little too loud for the room she slept in. Back then, Lagos sounded like insult. The compound woke up each day to banging pots, rushing buckets, and generators coughing back to life after another night of darkness. In the single room she shared with her mother and younger brother, Amara read secondhand books by the light of a small rechargeable lamp that flickered any time Nipa tried. Her mother sold provisions in a tiny wooden kiosk by the junction. Her father was a story that ended the year she turned 10. Amara's classmates had other stories about her. They laughed at the way she said certain words in class, imitating her H and R like it was a comedy skit. When she mispronounced entrepreneur during a presentation, the entire class erupted. Someone recorded it on a cheap phone and sent it to the WhatsApp group with the caption, "See Ajegunle trying to speak Queen's English." The video went round faster than rumor in a Lagos estate. At break time, she sat alone on a cracked bench, chewing dry biscuit and replaying the moment in her head. Their voices echoed louder than the concrete mixer outside the school fence, louder than Danfo conductors shouting routes, louder than her own heartbeat. Her circle of girls was the worst. They were the ones who smiled in front, hugged her in church, and then added comments below the video like, "Aw, you tried Sha. They'll get there one day." One day. Their encouragement always had a weight, like a stone hidden inside bread. In the classrooms of Suralere where she schooled, she was the girl with the wrong accent. At home in Ajegunle, she was the girl with the wrong dreams. Because whenever she spoke about wanting to work in big glass offices in Victoria Island, to travel, to speak confidently on stages, people gave her that slow, pitying Lagos look, the one that says, "This one is not serious. She doesn't know the country she is living in." But there was something else inside her that refused to die. At night, when her brother slept and her mother's snoring rose and fell with the generator's rhythm outside, Amara would prop her phone against an empty tin of milk and watch free YouTube videos. How to speak confident English. How to present like a Sioux. How to dress with confidence on a budget. She repeated phrases to herself in whispers, shaping her mouth around new sounds, pausing every time her mother rolled over. In the silence between generator hums, she was building a new voice no one could hear yet. By the time WEC ended, some of her classmates were already changing their Instagram bios to brand ambassador and CEO of something collections, posing in fake designer outfits, snapping in Lekki Phase 1 they visited just once. They laughed when Amara repeated that she would still work in 6 one day. "You, Amara?" one of them wrote in the group chat during a late-night argument. "You can't even speak properly yet. Just manage to pass and get small job. Talk about 6 later." The chat fell quiet after the message, and even though no one openly agreed, no one defended her either. She read the message over and over, the words starting to burn holes in her chest. That night, she didn't cry in front of them. She waited till she was home, till all the noise of Lagos dimmed into distant traffic and late-night radio. Then she lay on her mattress on the floor, phone on her chest, eyes burning in the darkness. Somewhere deep inside, something shifted. Lagos was a city that insulted you to your face and tested what lived under your skin. In that tiny room, Amara made a quiet decision that would change everything. If they thought English was her cage, she would turn it into her weapon. If they thought her background defined her future, she would make it her foundation. If they thought her dreams were too big, she would grow into them in silence. She began to treat her future like a secret exam only she knew the date for. While others posted filtered pictures, she downloaded free PDFs. While others laughed on voice notes, she practiced pronunciation into her phone's recorder. While others dragged each other on the timeline, she used her data to watch free courses. Every night, every early morning, every long walk home became her classroom. She wasn't shining yet. She still repeated outfits. Her shoes still knew the taste of Lagos dust. But something invisible was building around her like armor. The city still mocked her, But now she was doing something dangerous. She was learning quietly. And Lagos never suspects the quiet ones. Years passed. Ajegunle dust gave way to NYSC khaki. Amara was posted to Lagos mainland for her service year, and Lagos, as usual, welcomed her with traffic and disappointment. Her first PPA was a small company in Yaba that called itself a tech startup, even though their office was just 2 rooms above a noisy printing shop. They needed a customer support intern. They liked her CV. They didn't like her English. The manager, a slim man with a tired tie and a too loud perfume, smiled at her after her first week. "You're smart, Amara," he said, "but your communication still needs plenty polishing. Our clients are corporate. Don't go and embarrass us." Oh. The words sliced deeper than he knew. Every mistake, every mispronunciation felt like the old classroom all over again. Some of the other core members giggled quietly when she stumbled during mock calls. Still she stayed. During the day, she answered calls, typed emails, and absorbed every new phrase she overheard from senior staff. At night, she worked part-time as a virtual assistant for a small business owner she found on Twitter, scheduling posts and cleaning up grammar. Her phone became her second brain. She installed reading apps, downloaded public speaking audiobooks, saved voice notes of herself apologizing, thanking, explaining, until her tongue and mind began to move in the same rhythm. Lagos kept testing her. There were days when rain flooded the streets, and she still had to wade through brown water to catch a danfo. Days when Lastma stopped their bus and shouted till everyone got down. Days when her salary delayed and her landlord knocked with that slow, frightening rhythm on the door. "You're in Lagos," her mother reminded her over the phone. "This city will squeeze you, but you must not burst." Still, the mockery never fully disappeared. One evening after work, Amara opened her inactive Instagram and saw a familiar face on Explore. It was one of the girls from secondary school, Tio, doing a "Get Ready With Me for Girls in Tech" event video. Her lashes were long, her English now smoother, her outfit obviously expensive. In the caption she wrote, "Speaking tomorrow at Women in Tech Lagos, nail Polish medium skin tone from 0 to level up. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't." The irony stung. Under the video, the other old school friends commented, "Proud of you, bestie. From classroom to boardroom. We said it, you're going far." Nobody remembered how they laughed at Amara's dreams of working in 6. Her thumb trembled over the screen. For a moment, she felt that old, familiar heaviness press against her chest. Then she did something different. Instead of stalking Teo's page and sinking into comparison, she opened her notes app and wrote a short piece titled, "To the Girl They Called Local." She wrote about dusty slippers turning into quiet steps of growth, about accents that could be trained, about libraries that don't need AC, about building yourself when nobody is clapping. She didn't mention names. She didn't throw insults. She just wrote from her wound like it was a well. On impulse, she opened a LinkedIn account she had created months before, uploaded a simple picture, and posted the piece. She slept without thinking about it. The next morning, on her way to work in a crowded danfo, her phone started buzzing. Notifications. The post was blowing up. Women from all over Lagos, and beyond, were commenting. "This is my story. I cried reading this. Thank you for saying what I couldn't say." Some were HR managers. Some were founders. Some were regular 9 to 5 women sitting in traffic like her. The words she had written from her pain were now making strangers feel seen. Day by day, she kept posting. Short reflections about growth. Snippets about embarrassment and resilience. Lessons about learning English from YouTube and practicing in front of cracked mirrors. She spoke about Lagos like it was a tough mentor, not a wicked enemy. Her follower count crept up, not like an explosion, but like sunrise, quiet, steady, sure. One evening months later, she got an email. Subject, invitation to speak. From surviving to thriving, the Lagos woman's journey. A women's conference in Victoria Island had found her LinkedIn posts. They were curating young women who had built themselves from little. They wanted her to sit on a panel. She almost declined. Her old fear whispered, "On stage? In 6? They will still hear the old you in your voice. But beside the fear was another voice, the one that woke up early to read, that stayed up at night to practice, that had written into the void for months. She said just 2 weeks later, another email arrived. One of their keynote speakers from abroad had developed visa issues. They needed a strong local voice to fill the slot. Someone on their committee had forwarded Amara's story with a simple line. This is the girl whose posts went viral last month. Let her tell it on stage. They weren't inviting her as just a panelist anymore. They wanted her as a main speaker. She stared at the email in silence, the Ajegunle air suddenly too small for the size of the moment. It was only later, scrolling through the speakers list, that she saw something that froze her completely. Under special guests and VIP attendees, one name stood out. Teo Adewale, brand influencer and tech content creator. Below that, front row reserved for Teo and friends. Her past was not just going to be in the room. It would be sitting directly in front of her. The conference hall in 6 was cold in that expensive way, AC humming softly, light bouncing off chandeliers, banners hanging with motivational slogans in gold letters. Amara arrived early, black blazer pressed, shoes polished, heart pounding. The badge around her neck read, Speaker, Amara Okafor, Personal Growth and Communications. The girl they once called local had a title now. From the stage, she could see the lagoon through the tall glass windows, boats moving slowly like they had nowhere to be. Outside, 6 traffic crawled, Danfos and Ubers inching along. Inside, women in tidy blazers and rich perfume took selfies, laughed, adjusted wigs and gelly, waited. Then they walked in. Teo and the old group. They were exactly as Instagram promised. Stylish, confident, curated. They moved in a pack, laughter following them like perfume. They did not notice her yet. To them, she was just another woman in a blazer. They sat in the front row, directly opposite the podium. When the MC finally called her name, the sound seemed to travel in slow motion. Please welcome a writer, growth coach, and communications specialist whose story has touched thousands of women online. Miss Amara Okafor. Applause rose. Phones lifted. A few people started recording. As she walked to the center of the stage, her legs felt like they were made of paper. For one dizzy second, she thought she would faint, and all their prophecies about her would come true in front of the biggest audience yet. Then she looked down. There, in the first row, Teo's smile froze. Recognition moved slowly across her face, followed by shock, then something like discomfort. The other girls noticed too, whispering, shifting in their seats. The room did not know the history. Only the front row did. Amara took a slow breath. Years of reading came back to her, all those notes about grounding your voice, about breathing into your belly, about letting silence speak first. She stood still, let the room quiet, then began. I grew up in a part of Lagos, she said, where people believed 2 things about girls like me, that our English would always betray us, and that our dreams would always be bigger than our reality. A soft murmur. Some heads nodded. She continued. I was that girl people called local. They laughed at my pronunciation. They mocked my thrift store skirts. They told me Victoria Island was for women whose fathers could open doors, not for girls whose mothers sold cabin biscuit in kiosks. Her voice did not shake. She told the story, not with bitterness, but with a kind of clear-eyed power. She painted Ajegunle with words, the bucket cues, the generator noise, the single room filled with heat and possibility. She described the humiliation of being laughed at for her English. She described finding free videos, reading in the dark, recording herself on a cheap phone. The room leaned in. She spoke about Lagos as a classroom, unforgiving, uncontrollable, but full of hidden lessons. Lagos will embarrass you, she said, but if you pay attention, it will also educate you. She did not say their names. She did not mention the viral classroom video or the group chat betrayal. She simply said, sometimes the people who laugh at your poor English today will sit quietly one day, listening to you teach what you fought to learn. On the stage, she saw it happen. A flicker of recognition crossed Teo's face, the way her eyes dropped to her lap, the way one of the other girls suddenly found her pen very interesting. But this wasn't revenge. Not really. It was something more dangerous. It was witness. She shared how she started writing on LinkedIn, posting pieces from her pain. How strangers were moved. How opportunities began to find her in the most unexpected ways. How she said yes to growth even when fear screamed no. Her voice grew steadier, her words sharper. Change came when I stopped trying to prove my worth to the people who did not believe in me, and started proving it to the future version of myself who was waiting. Silence. Then slow claps. Then bigger claps. She closed with the line that had become her private prayer. Work in silence, she said, scanning the room, because one day, your results will walk into rooms before you and speak louder than your pain ever could. The applause that followed was not polite. It was thunder. Women stood. Some wiped tears. Some held their phones higher to capture every second. The MC came back on stage with a stunned smile, thanking her, calling her story a Lagos miracle. After the session, there was a queue. Young women wanting selfies. Older women wanting to hug her. HR managers wanting to keep in touch. And then, at the tail end of the line, the past. Teo stepped forward, slower than usual, her usual loud confidence softened. The other two girls hovered just behind her, eyes avoiding contact. "Hi, Amara," she said quietly. "I didn't know you were this." The words hung there. Amara simply smiled. It was not the smile of a girl trying to be accepted. It was the calm smile of a woman who now understood value. "Lagos trains all of us differently," she replied, keeping her voice gentle. "I'm glad we're all still here, still growing." There was nothing else to say. She didn't need an apology to become who she already was. They didn't need her anger to feel their own regret. Sometimes karma is not humiliation. Sometimes karma is being forced to sit and watch the person you mocked become everything you secretly wanted to be. As she left the hotel later that evening, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor, she stepped out into VI's noisy embrace, honking cars, impatient drivers, hawkers weaving through traffic with bottled water and gala. She booked a ride, slid into the back seat, and watched the city blur by as they crossed Third Mainland Bridge. On one side, the water shimmered. On the other, the skyline rose, Lekki, Ikwi, distant high-rises glowing in the evening haze. Her phone buzzed with new followers, speaking invitations, collaboration offers. But inside, she felt something deeper than success. She felt settled. The girl from Ajegunle, with the local English and the thrifted clothes, had become a woman who could stand in any room and hold the mic without shaking. Not because Lagos made it easy, but because Lagos made it necessary. As the car sped toward the mainland, the city lights twinkling like scattered prayers, a quiet proverb formed itself in her chest, the true moral of her story. In this Lagos, do not argue with those who doubt you. Just keep learning, keep working, keep walking. A seed does not explain itself to the soil. It simply grows until the whole farm must acknowledge its shade.